3 years in December. I have 2 children, a boy and a girl. The boy will be 2 years on, is it Monday? Yeah, Monday, Tuesday, on the 5th.
Wow.
On the 5th of October, it will be 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah, and my favorite dish, it has to be simp with a bit of oxtail.
Right. Hey, Muna, don't make me hungry.
Yeah, that will be my favorite dish.
Wow, a bit of oxtail.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff. Thank you so much. So obviously, when one sits with an expert, the most important question that comes to the mind is to say, what are the top 5 mistakes people make with their tax issues?
Yeah, at the top of the mistakes, it's always record keeping.
Right.
Record keeping is integral to compliance.
Right.
Any compliance, whether it's tax or it's BAWA, any institution that you have to comply with, your record keeping has to be on point.
Right.
So sometimes when it comes to invoices, when it comes to contracts, taxpayers will lose those easily. So now if you are registered for VAT and you want to claim input tax, it becomes difficult to claim because you don't have evidence or you don't have that receipt that you used to buy at the shop. So you'll end up paying output VAT without deducting the input that you have incurred. Or when it comes to preparing financial statements and you want to file your return, there will be few items to deduct.
Right.
Because accountants, when they work with preparing financial statements with you, they'll work with what you present to them. So if you say to them, I incurred 500,000 in this, but you don't have evidence to show that indeed we have incurred such amount of money, you end up losing out.
Right.
And it's not only good for you in terms of benefiting, but like when BES comes for an audit, they want documentation and they might penalize you because you don't have that documentation, or penalize you to say you owe this much. But because you don't have documentation to defend yourself, then it becomes a problem for you. So that's one of the really worst mistake that taxpayers do, and I encourage them to ensure that their record keeping is in order.
Right.
So then when it comes to individuals, there is a threshold there of 36,000. So normally they'll confuse this threshold to apply to individual sources of income. So they'll think that 36,000 will apply to employment income, will apply to rental income, while in fact it applies to the aggregate, everything.
Everything, yeah.
So if you have 12,000 in employment, you have 12,000 in rent, you have 12,000 in another business. If you put this together and they are over 36,000, we have to pay tax on those. But then sometimes people think the 36,000 applies to only one source of income, and they say, no, I've paid tax only my employment income, my rental income is less than 36,000, so I'm not supposed to pay tax on that. So I remember it's about 7 years ago, I tried to explain this to my mother. So she has employment income and she also has rental income. And she said, no, best guys explain to us that it's 36,000, the rental is less than 36,000. And I said, no. And yeah, the worst thing was that I was still in school. So she just thought, no, this one is just excited. Well, within a few months, she called me, said, have you reported me to the authorities? I said, no, they have mechanisms to find out how much you are earning where, because in returns, for example, you will write your landlord's name to say, I have a landlord, so and so I'm paying them such and such amount. So that's critical information for them. They'll check if you have declared. If you have not declared, they will add and they'll issue you with an assessment. So that's number 2. Then when it comes to businesses also, there is the issue of prohibited input tax. for
Okay.
VAT purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Like there will be entertainment expenses. You'll be going on a trip. You will stay in a hotel. So if you stay in a hotel and you eat there in a hotel, those expenses are categorized as entertainment expenses for VAT purposes.
Right.
Yes, for you it was not entertainment. You're in a business meeting. You can argue that, but they will say, no, the act is clear. This is entertainment expenses, whether you went there for business or whatever reason. For us, as long as the act says is entertainment expense, we'll treat it as such, as entertainment expense. Then there is the issue of filing of no returns. Sometimes when taxpayers have not traded in a month or in a year, they won't file returns because they say, there's no tax to pay. Why should I file the return? And then they incur penalties. Like for VAT, a no return, a penalty for no return if you've not filed is 5,000 flat. Whether you filed a day after the deadline or you file a year after the deadline, 5,000 flat. So you will find that maybe you have not submitted 12 returns or 6 returns in UK. 6 times 5,000, 30,000 can be a lot of money for you. So taxpayers need to ensure that if they've registered for VAT, they've registered for tax, they should know when to file those VAT returns and file them on time without saying, no, I have not incurred any tax, so I'm not going to file. Then the last one that I've seen with taxpayers is that they miss on the latest tax news. A recent example, when the state of emergency was first declared back in April, there was incentive for training levy that all taxpayers who have been training levy, there will be a waiver for them. But some taxpayers, because they missed that, they paid training levy. When the system charged them training levy, they said, oh, it has charged us, so we were supposed to pay. But it was clear that for the 6 months up to August, there won't be any need to pay for the training levy. So they end up paying for expenses that they were not supposed to pay for. So they should make sure that they follow the latest tax news and that they keep up to date with whatever is happening in terms of tax.
Thank you very much. I will kindly ask you to sit in the middle because you seem to be on one side. Yeah, somewhere in the middle of your camera. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all the things that you have been saying. I'm sure some people who will have listened to us with Boaho the other day, they will be thinking, these guys are just going to be talking about the same things that they spoke that day. But then
Definitely.
they will be surprised that we are discussing almost something completely different.
Yeah, because there's a lot to talk about.
There's a lot to talk about, and your experience will be different from the other person's experience, isn't it?
Definitely.
Right. So what advice do you have for employees concerning tax filing? This year, when are we filing? Are we filing the same times or things have changed?
Yes. So this year, the filing deadline for individuals have been pushed to 30th November. Normally tomorrow will be the deadline, and you'll be seeing people queuing at malls, at bars, at different hotspots. So this year it has been extended to 30th November. So they can either go to bars to file there manually, but they're encouraged to file online because the online system is working. So they can file online and ensure that they can also download the mobile app for filing. So you can file at the comfort of your phone. It's called MTax. It's available on Google Store. So they can also file at the comfort of their homes, in their laptops, in their computers. by just visiting e-services and creating an account. It doesn't take long to create an account. So they can go to e-service and create such accounts so that they can avoid queues. The internet has saved us time. You don't have to go and queue for 5 hours or 10 hours filing a return that probably also there is no refund for you. So for you to save time and for you to save money, because to go to BES or any filing point, you will need money to go there, you will need time to go there. And these two are very essential resources. So the best way is always to file online. BES are always available to assist you in terms of filing online. You can always call them, call their call center, and they guide you, or you find a tax consultant, they do it for you or explain how it is done. They've also trained internet centers, so you can go to the nearest internet cafe and ask them to help you in terms of filing your income tax return. So yeah, that's as far as and also the most important thing, going back to the issue of record keeping. Some people will take additional superannuation, like with another insurance, apart from what they're doing with their employer. So it's always good to get those to ensure that you incorporate in the return so that you get your refund, because most of the time during the year it's not accounted for. So when you account it at the end of the year, you'll get some refund from the contributions that you have made, because remember, the contributions that you make towards retirement are exempt from tax.
Okay, so you mean those are actually exempt from tax, even if it's your own private pension, like maybe you go to Botswana Life or you go to Metropolitan.
Yes.
I don't think many people know that.
Yeah.
That's why it's good to have experts like you talking like this, man.
Yeah, they just contribute and say, I know I'll find the money when I retire, when I've resigned and I enjoy my retirement. But they have to also take advantage of the benefits that are available at that time.
Right. That's perfect. Yeah. There you have it, guys. I'm sure you are listening carefully. And also for those who shall listen later, they need to listen and rewind. You
Definitely,
know those times, Tumelo, when we used to rewind?
I remember very well. Rewind the cassette.
Rewind the cassette and then it's just playing again. That's awesome. So much advice for the individuals to say, now it will be, the cutoff date will be end of November, and they can also have M-Tax on their mobile. You can have that app on your phone and file your taxes. And then also you can do online e-services. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Right. Is there anything else you wanted to advise individuals?
No, I think that's as for individuals, as far as is concerned, record keeping, taking advantage of all the benefits that are there in terms of exemptions for superannuations. Okay, another one that may be insignificant is membership for things like trade unions. Those also are exempt. So if that's significant, you can make them part of your return such that you end up reducing your chargeable income and obviously your tax.
That's interesting. Does that include what you pay to associations, professional associations, or it's just trade unions?
Well, what is clear is trade unions. When it comes to associations, it becomes a bit technical.
Yeah. I'm with you. Thank you so much. I would like to welcome Kay. Thank you, Kay, for joining us. We really appreciate you coming through. If you have any questions, you can send them via the chat. If you have any comments, you can also send them via the chat. Thank you so much. So what advice do you have for entrepreneurs concerning tax filing?
Yes. For entrepreneurs, I think just like for individuals, record keeping is important. And I have to emphasize this more for entrepreneurs because they deal with a lot of expenses as compared to individuals when it comes to deductibility. So if you talk of salaries, if you talk of any expense that is used in fuel, telephone bills, airtime, those need to be accounted for properly, such that when you engage someone for your bookkeeping or you engage someone for your tax, there will be a proper record keeping that is in there that makes sure that you'll be able to take advantage of whatever is there. And also there is an issue of expense allocation that I think they should always be wary of, like the difference between what's capital and what's revenue in nature, because sometimes they'll take what's revenue in nature and capitalize it. For example, when they've bought a machine and there was training that was done for employees, they'll capitalize it instead of putting it on the revenue side so that they can maximize the deduction there. Like for a machine, you'll find that sometimes the deductibility is over a 6-year period of the cost. A certain percentage is applied on the cost. While for revenue, you deduct 100% on that tax year and ensure that you maximize it. So if you've deducted 100, you will benefit more than if you've deducted 10% of that cost. Because sometimes the trainings are not necessary for the machine to operate. You can operate the machine without training. So why do you need to then capitalize the cost? So they should always ensure that before they classify their costs, they are sure that this cost falls on the revenue side or on the capital side, because it is very much important. Record keeping is also important, like I said, for audits purposes. If BES comes and audits you and you do not have certain documents, they can come up with their own figures for the income of the company. If you had incurred, if you said I have 300,000 in revenue, but then they've lost invoices, you've lost all other critical documents like contracts, they can say, no, for a business like yours, such and such business that is the same as yours is doing 2 million. So you can also do 2 million. Why in fact we have done less than that. So
I can imagine.
Yeah, so you end up with huge additional assessments that were not necessary at all. So record keeping is very important. Also, it's important when it comes to VAT side. So for VAT purposes, for you to deduct input tax, your invoices have to be properly labeled. They have to have your VAT numbers. So they should always ensure that whatever is required in the tax invoice, your VAT number, description of goods, the VAT number of your supplier, they should always ask for that so that they can maximize the deduction in the VAT return, because you don't want to incur a VAT expense on behalf of the government or on behalf of your clients because your record keeping is in shambles. So what I'll say for them, the most critical thing is record keeping, and always ensuring that they file the VAT returns on time, even income tax returns, and also payments are made on time. Because when it comes to interest for tax, you can pay 200% of the tax that you are supposed to pay. If you are supposed to pay 1,000 pula and you didn't pay it, you can end up paying 3,000 pula, and the 2,000 will be interest. So you don't want to be in that kind of situation as a taxpayer. You have to ensure that you file on time, and also the expenses that you have deducted, you should ensure that they are what you are supposed to deduct. You have to separate your personal and the business expenses. Because if you don't do that and you are picked for an inspection or an audit, you will end up incurring more tax bills in penalties and also in interest. And when it comes to VAT, those can close your business. They can shut down your business because they go over 200% in terms of the penalty and also the interest like I've said, it can be more than the tax also. So it's important for you to always file on time and pay on time, especially on the payment side, because it can be difficult to negotiate waivers in terms of interest because the waiver is directly held by the Ministry of Finance. So it's easier to deal with BES than to deal with the Ministry of Finance because it can take a lot of time because the Ministry of Finance deals with a lot of things.
Right.
Apart from the tax issues that will come from BES.
Interesting.
Thank you. But the Farmer's Tax Handbook was inspired by...
Thank you so much, Tumelo. You are sharing some very, very powerful nuggets there. Now, you are tempting me to ask on behalf of the viewers to say, obviously, when we hear somebody, when we hear you saying, go see the tax consultant, go see the tax consultant, I think many people just think that, hey, if you go to a consultant, hey, you will be charged. So would you like to say something? I know I didn't plan to ask that question. I was just going to say at the end, just, give us your context. But I wondered, maybe somebody is asking that question to say, if you are seeing a tax consultant, is that not going to be too expensive? You pay too much money. Or actually, having a tax consultant is going to save you money?
It's having a tax consultant, it's a more of a risk mitigation mechanism. You will rather give someone who knows the work to do it, or if you have prepared it yourself and you are not comfortable, you can give it to them to review the work, such that at the end of the day, it's what it's supposed to be. You have maximized on your deductions, or you have accounted for what you are supposed to account, because you don't want to make mistakes of deducting what you are not supposed to deduct, or leaving out what you should have deducted and missing out on the opportunity, because there's also a timeline for you to have used some exemptions or use some deductions. So if that timeline has passed, you would have lost money and your business will be inefficient from a tax perspective.
Right. And I know that...
so it's not
yes. Sorry?
I was saying it's not expensive. It's beneficial because also even the cost that you will incur, the cost is deductible. So at the end of the day, you will benefit from such expertise.
Right. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Yeah. Now, I'm thinking, I know one question that people normally ask me as a coach and consultant is to say, for example, you were talking about individuals filing season now being extended to end of November. Somebody is thinking, what about filing for my company? Is it also end of November, or, I just wanted you to clarify that.
Oh yeah, for when it comes to companies, you will adapt your financial year. So if your financial year is 30 June, you are given 4 months after the end of the financial year to file that return. So if your financial year is end of 30 June, you'll file in October. So it's always within 4 months. And if the financials are not ready or you are not ready to file at the end of the 4 months, you can always ask for extension. It will depend on how many months you want. If you want 1, if you want 2, if you want 3, they'll grant the 3 months. And whatever month that you want to file in, you will file in. If they've given you 3 months and you are supposed to file in October, you end up filing in January. So there's that flexibility to always extend.
Right.
Even on the individual side, you can always request for an extension.
Right.
But it's not that much when it comes to individuals.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that advice. What are some of the latest changes in tax legislation that you think both entrepreneurs and individuals need to know?
Well, for individuals, it wasn't a change in legislation as such. It was just a ruling from BES to say if your annual revenue it's less than 144,000, and your income is just from employment, you don't have to file a tax return, because most of the time, what you've deducted and what you're supposed to pay will be the same. So there's no need for you to come there and queue or spend time in the internet filing. So that was advantageous for both the taxpayer and bears, because it saves time for both of them, and they can spend time doing something that is better, something that is effective for both organizations, or for both the taxpayer and the tax revenue authority. Then from a business perspective, or well, it applies to every taxpayer also. Section 5 that deals with transparency was amended. I know if you read the news, you'll know that we are blacklisted by the European Union and also the Financial Action Task Force. There were some recommendations that we made that we didn't meet in terms of money laundering issues and financial related crimes. So
Yes.
then Section 5 was amended, said that it's more transparent, such that organizations like Financial Intelligence Agency, DCEC, DIS, the police, any agency that needs to make an investigation, or even the High Court, can ask the information without any act impeding it. Before that amendment was made, the income tax also limited you to say, okay, you can only ask for information if it's asked by the High Court. And there were some sections that it connected to, like Section 71 in the income tax, and also the double taxation agreements. So if an investigating authority in South Africa is asking for the information, they had to first do it in terms of that agreement. So if you didn't have an agreement with us, like someone in America wanted information and they're investigating me for a financial crime, it was difficult to get such information. So then the transparency rule makes it, whether it's made in terms of an international agreement, whether we have a double taxation avoidance agreement with the country or not, they can easily ask for that information from BES, and BES will not say, no, this act prevents us, or this provision prevents us from doing that. So they wanted to make sure that nothing prohibits sharing of information, that sharing of information is smooth between countries, between tax authorities, whether it's a tax authority here in Botswana and a tax authority in Europe, in Asia, in neighboring countries, that it should just be smooth and no impediments. And you'll also know that transparency in terms of the OECD and the G20 BEPS resolutions, it forms part of that. So it all goes back to money laundering issues, financial crimes, to ensure that tax authorities are able to help in combating those and are not limited by the laws that are in place.
Interesting. All right, thank you so much.
And also, okay, another one that, yes, I think before we go to another one that is not a change as such, earlier I talked about training levy waiver that was introduced for the first months of the state of emergency. Someone can ask, the state of emergency has been extended. That means that's now also the waiver for training levy is extended. The answer is no, until such announcement is made. So if you are filing for August, September VAT return next month, you need to pay training levy, because now the waiver has fallen off, the 6 months has elapsed. So now you have to budget for that training levy, because if you don't pay, you will incur 2% interest on the amount that you're supposed to pay.
Right. Thank you so much. And I know that the transfer duty, the amendments that were done to the Transfer Duty Act cannot be said to be new, but maybe you might want to shed some light on that, because one time I was talking to somebody, Kay is saying, thank you so much. Thank you, Kay. We appreciate you. We appreciate that comment, and we appreciate your presence. Yes, Tumelo. So the other time I was talking to somebody who does tax, and then I asked them about the latest changes in tax. And I realized that even though I am someone on the street, I seemed to know certain things which the person was not aware of. And it got me thinking that if somebody who talks about tax and trains people on tax and teaches on tax doesn't know some of the changes, then it means that there could be many people in the economy who do not understand. So I thought maybe you could shed some light.
Yeah, it's transfer duty. Hot potato for some, but broad excitement for some.
Yeah.
So I think the big one for individuals that everyone was excited for, it's the exemption for first-time homeowners.
Right.
But if you are first-time homeowner, whether you buy an empty plot or something, a plot that has a house in there, you'll be exempt from transfer duty. Before that, there was no exemption.
Right.
Then another interesting one, the threshold in terms of exemption was 200,000. So if you buy property that's valued at 1 million, then they will deduct 200,000 and you'll pay on the 800,000. So now it was increased to 1 million. So if you are buying property that is at 1 million, you are not supposed to pay transfer duty. Anything excess over 1 million, that's when you start paying transfer duty.
And that is for citizens, right?
Yes. All the exemptions apply for citizens. If you are a non-citizen, there is no exemption. Another one that caused that was a hot potato between Business Botswana, BITC, tax consultants, and even the Ministry of Finance was the 30% increase when it comes to non-citizens.
Right.
So before the act was amended, 30% only applied to agricultural land. So it will apply to your land in Pandamatenga, in your Banyana farms, those kind of lands. But now they then change and say 30% will apply to everything if you are a non-citizen. So if you buy residential property, whether you buy it on freehold, wherever you buy it, pay 30% of the market value.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think the last one that I can talk about is that tribal land. So your land in Klukwe, Mopane, Serowe, Molapolole in villages, it used to be exempt from transfer duty. So you only pay transfer duty in towns at that time, but now anywhere in the country, if you buy land, subject to other exemptions, you will pay transfer duty. So if I buy a plot in Klukwe and I'm not a first-time homeowner and it's at 2 million, I have to pay transfer duty on the excess of 1 million. People used to enjoy that buying land in those villages because the transactions were not subject to transfer duty.
Perfect.
So yeah, that's on transfer duty. There are a lot of amendments that were made, but I think those are the big ones.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, you know, I like the way information comes out of you in a very simple way and it's just flowing. And I hope is enjoying this, and other people also, I'm sure they are enjoying this.
Yeah. No, thank you for that.
Yeah. So Kay has just asked a question, and Kay is walking in the spirit because the question that Kay has asked is related to the next question that I'm about to ask you, Tumelo. So we are going to tie in what Kay is asking and what I'm asking. Tell us about your book, The Farmer's Tax Handbook.
Yes. The Farmer's Tax Handbook, it was released in August. So during lockdown, when there was this debate on now the need for diversification because the borders were closed. That means movement of goods, food was a problem. So they said, we are not self-sufficient when it comes to food. So we need to take farming serious. And then I thought, I think it's time that I bring the Farmer's Tax Handbook, because I think 2 years ago, I tried to write something, but I ended up with a 2-page technical note. Then I thought, I think it's time to now develop the technical note into a book and ensure that farmers can benefit from the book, because now more people are joining farming. So not everybody is practicing tax for farming. So you find that most of the time farmers will miss exemptions that are available to them. In the past, there were some farmers who had asked me about VAT to say, I'll be buying this, but I haven't benefited anything. How do you deduct those? So I thought this is the time to capture them in the book and ensure that people benefit if they are going into farming enterprises. So it will talk about the exemptions that are there. One of the exemptions that are there for individual farmers specifically will be if you are a beef farmer, like you rear cattle beef and they are less than 300,000, you don't have to pay tax. No matter you make 1 million from those cattle or you make 2 million, you don't have to pay tax. You'll just, there'll be a 4% withholding tax on those, but other people pay 22%. So 4% compared to 22% is a lot when it comes to it. And also, if you are into dry land farming, you are exempt if you do on 100 hectares. So if you have 100 hectares worth of crops and you make millions out of that, no tax. This one is good because there's no withholding tax when it comes to crops. It only applies to cattle and goats and other things. And if for goats, it's 1,800. So you'll know that small stock farming is big now. Even the president is donating bags to try to promote small stock farming. So imagine if you have 1,800 sheep or 1,800 goats and you sell 1,000 of those. A bag can go at 5,000 because these days the market value is just very high, more than 5,000. You make a lot of money. You can make 10 million out of the 1,000 that we have, and you're left with 800 and you still enjoy the benefits. So those are things that they'll find in the book. And also when it comes to transfer duty, one of the changes affected farming because now you pay transfer duty if you register a lease. If you get a 15-year lease from Pandamatenga or Banyana Farms, and you register that Tumelorana now has this lease in Pandamatenga, I'll have to pay on the rental value over the 15 years. So if the rental value is 30 million, I have to pay 5% of the 30 million over 2 bears. So it deals with those issues on how to address them, on what to claim, on the transfer duty that you have paid, how transfer duty interacts with VAT, if you have paid such transfer duty on the land that you have leased from government. Yes, so that's much about it. And there's also an issue of capital allowances because farmers have special capital allowances. So it breaks down those capital allowance issues on what you can claim and what you cannot claim. So currently, for you to get the book, you have to contact me. I'll leave my numbers later for contact me if you are in Gaborone and surrounding areas nearby. But if you are in Soroe, there are some people in Soroe, and if you are also in the surrounding areas for Soroe, there are people also you can contact to get those books.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Tumelo. So, and the question that Kay was asking was, where can I buy the Farmer's Tax Handbook? So I think you have answered that. Are you considering putting the book in the bookshops?
Yeah. I'm working with a manager who's handling that,
Okay.
and if it becomes available in the bookshops, we'll communicate. So apart
Perfect.
from the hard copies, it's also available on Amazon.
All right.
So they can get it on Amazon.
Nice.
If it's
Excellent. So,
interested.
okay, you have heard that. You can even get it on Amazon.
Yes.
Let me take this opportunity to welcome Tabang. Thank you, Tabang, for joining us. We are driving towards the end of the conversation, and the conversation is very sweet. Tumelo, you have 2 books.
Yes.
Can you tell us about the other book?
Yes. The other book, Taxation of Not-for-Profit Organizations, that one was written in 2017.
Wait, Tabang.
So that one.
Wait, Tumelo. Wait. So you have a book for non-profits, eh? Then you have a book for farmers.
For farmers.
Where is a book for some of us?
I think.
Well,
No, I think he.
No, you can go ahead.
Well,
sorry, I think I muted him by mistake.
Yeah.
Yes, Taban.
No, I was saying maybe he thought other areas have been covered adequately by some of the authors, so he decided to get on unconventional areas. Am I right, Mr. Aran now?
Yeah, I think you are right. But if ever they come to an opportunity for other sectors, I'll jump in, of course.
Right.
Great.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tabang, for that. So,
thanks, Wilbert. Yeah.
Mr. Ranao, we are challenging you.
Yeah. Okay, let me continue on taxation of not-for-profit organizations.
Okay, perfect. Please go ahead, because it's very important anyway. I mean, non-profits, we have quite a lot of people that are involved in non-profits, and they would want to know what to do in terms of taxation. Please go ahead. Tell us more about the book.
Yes, and you know, there's a big misconception that non-profit organizations don't pay tax. So that's why the book was written. So if you are an NGO and or there'll be income that will be exempt, of course. So it clarifies what's exempt and what's not exempt. So in the act says if there is a business income or there is capital gains, you have sold a house or something, or shares, those are not exempt. So there are steps for that income to be exempt. You can apply for exemption for a certain period or to extend usage. The reason why you extend usage is because they understand that as an NGO or as a religious institution, you apply some funds towards some things that benefit the society. So you have to request for those to be exempt before you can say, no, I am exempt. So then the issues of payee, on how you account for payee, because as an NGO, you'll have employees who work for the NGO, or if it's as a religious institution, you'll have employees who work for that religious institution. And some will have business income, sell t-shirts, have rental income, do other businesses. So on those businesses, you also have to account for VAT. So you'll find that in the book. So in summary, it clears the misconception on whether non-profit organizations pay tax or not.
Perfect. Thank you so much for clarifying that. Would you like to say something about your blog?
Oh yeah, then there's the tax platform. It's the blog also covers issues of personal or business taxation. So whether you talk customs duty when you cross the border into Botswana, you'll find articles on that, individual perspective and business perspective, whether you talk VAT, whether you talk income tax, any tax that you can think of, we write about it, and also do videos and audios and some infographics, because we learn differently. Someone will get interested because of the infographic. Someone will get interested because of the video. So you have to make sure that everyone is catered for in terms of their learning styles or what they prefer. Some prefer reading. So those who prefer reading will read the articles. So
Interesting.
it's on WordPress, the text platform on WordPress. It's on Facebook. It's also on Twitter.
Perfect. So you will send me the links I get after this show so that I can share them with our community.
Yeah, I'll share the links to those.
Perfect. So what other services do you provide, and what are your last words as we go towards the end of the show? And Kay and Tabang, we highly appreciate your presence. If you have any questions, please feel free to send in some chats, any comments, any questions of things that you want Tumelo to address as we go towards the end.
Yes. Yeah, so apart from the tech side, I also do company secretarial services. I also prepare business proposals. So whether it's management plans for land board or business proposals for funding, YDF, CEDA, all those, I assist people in doing those.
Okay.
Oh, great.
So yeah, in terms of the... Okay, yeah, you can go on, Taba.
No, I'm saying great. I wish I had met you a week ago because there's something that we're doing as a corporate. But anyway, look, now that I know, I think going forward would link some more. Would get your contacts and all that. Yeah.
All right.
Perfect.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So
yeah, and I think on the Farmers Tax Handbook. So if you are in Gaborone, you can call me on 74342823 to get the book.
Can you repeat it?
If you are in Serowe, 74 34 28
Okay.
23. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay.
Perfect.
No, thanks.
Thank you very much.
The book. So if you are in Serowe and surrounding areas, you can contact 76295640 or 4630980, and they'll assist you in getting the book.
Perfect.
Yes, and yeah, in terms of the taxation of not-for-profit organizations, it's sold by Opera Contact Specialists. You can contact them on 71815836. The Farmers Tax Handbook is 150, and taxation of not-for-profit organization is 250 pula.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much. Any questions coming from Kay and Tabang?
Do you do tax consulting, Tumela?
Yes, I do.
Okay, that's great. So this 74342823 is your number, right?
Yes, you can contact.
Okay, no, great. I'm definitely gonna make an RFQ because I'm floating a tender for tax services at my workplace. So I'll definitely put that up. So prepare. So you've done for large corporates.
I'll definitely prepare for that.
Okay, you've done for bigger corporates and all that, right? I assume so.
Yeah, I've done that.
Okay, no, great.
He has done that, and he works for one of the biggest corporates also.
Lovely,
Yeah.
lovely. So there's no conflict of interest.
I think one of the things that you could do, Tabang, after the show, because you came in towards the end, so I think you will benefit a lot if you watch the interview on my YouTube channel.
No, that's great. I'll definitely check it out. So that by the time
you meet up with Tumelo, you will actually understand a lot of other things that he was saying.
No, great stuff. Yeah, I'll definitely do that. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, half loaf is better than no bread. I was
it's very good.
I'll gain something.
We are very happy that you came through. All right, I think unless we have any questions or last words from Tumelo, this will mark the end of the interview.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Highly appreciate it. Have a good night and enjoy the holidays. Have some time to rest. I know that all of you here on the show, you like hard work too much. Get some time to rest a bit.
We'll try our best. We will try our best.
We will try.
Yeah. Okay, thank you guys. Have a good night.
Sure, cheers. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.